You're live.
All right. I could start whenever I want. That's the fun part about this. What do you mean?
No, I mean,
He's
you're
still
live.
good. He's still good.
Am I live? Tell myself what's up.
No, like, you're live.
Yeah, you ready to go?
All right.
Do it again.
There's no
All right. I'm gonna start. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Lifted. I'm here with two amazing individuals. When I say that, I really mean it. I'm very excited about this. Two of them are very accomplished in their own rights. You have one individual, Latin Grammy winner. He owns one of the best, largest hip hop Latin clubs in the area of Boston, Massachusetts. Period. So for me, that's an amazing accomplishment. I remember when he had a small little club, and now he has one of the biggest clubs in the area. So we have Richie Pena as well. Shout out to Richie Pena. Word. So Richie deserves all the credit. Next we have Albie, who with Cheddar Magazine, Cheddar Podcast. You had his food trucks. Very, very accomplished in the business. He started at a very young age, and he's made incredible progression throughout his career in different areas. And I'm very privileged to have him as well. So I want to, say shout out to Albie as well for coming on. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
So today's conversation is for me as a young man growing up in Boston. I want to say we're all born and raised, or at least raised in Boston, and whether it be Roxbury, Dorchester, or Charlestown. But for me, it's when I see individuals, when I meet individuals, I want to meet people that understand what I kind of went through and what type of things I've been through. And when I think of people that are accomplished, your two names come up as well. So for me, I want you to kind of explain who you are, where you come from, and some of the accomplishments that you have. We'll start with Richie if you're okay with that.
My name is Richie. Last name Pena. I am a father. I'm a son. I'm a husband. I am a music producer. I am a entrepreneur. I have different businesses, mainly focusing in the entertainment industry. And I have many different hats. I do whatever it takes, whatever needs to get done. I do. That's it.
Word, but he does a lot, and you stay busy. And I know that because I can't get a text for like another hour or two because he's that busy. Albie, talk to me about your upbringing. I know you started in school, and right after school you decided to open a food truck. Mm-hmm. And then from there you made some progression. So you want to talk to me about some of your history and how you were able to get to where you are today?
Upbringing, I don't know, just started young. Young as an entrepreneur. I'm very entrepreneurial. I'm gonna say one of my first successes that a lot of folks know about is a food truck, but many businesses, transportation companies, detail companies, food businesses, just it goes on and on. So a lot of companies, management properties, real estates in different states. So just like tons of just hands in everything. Parties from Cali to Miami to Chicago, New York. I don't care. You name the city. So just, I'm like I can't stay still.
Yeah, but
I can't stay still.
Where did you get that from?
Maybe I got ADD. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I got a problem. I don't know, but I just, it's funny because my parents say that. They're like, I don't know what he just goes to the next thing. He just, so just, kind of multitasking. Like when it's slow, I'm no good. When it's too much going on, that's when I'm at my best.
Word.
I work good under pressure.
Richie's shaking his head because it feels like
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that. When things are like slow or things are done, I'm like I don't know what to do with myself.
Right.
So I always need to keep moving. You need to keep doing something.
Yeah, but you was walking halls in Madison, right? And you was having fun in Madison. I remember you being a pretty boy, right? The guy that had all the girls, right? And not to like put a label, but usually when people like are in that space, they're not that motivated to like do as much in music or anything like that. But I'm talking about like 9th, 10th grade. You was already kind of dabbling in the music. So where did that come from? Because
it was music started for me. It was kind of like poetry. I started doing poetry when I was young, and I started doing poetry as a way to deal with my own problems. I grew up without a father. I grew up in the projects. I grew up with a single mom who had 3 kids, 4 kids. you know, and you know, she was working 2-3 jobs every single day. And I started writing poetry to express myself, to get things off my chest, because I really had nobody else to talk to.
Yeah.
And poetry became melody, and it became music later on, you know, and it became something that I felt comfortable doing. You know what I mean? The writing, the production came way later, and we can talk about that later, when I actually started producing. But that's kind of like, you know, for me, it was a way to express myself, and one of the reasons that I kind of became more into music was because I saw it as a way out from where I was at.
What did you see that inspired you to start thinking that way? Something motivated you, and you was like, "Yo, there actually is another way out."
I wanted to do something, and I tried different things. I tried building bikes. You know, nobody really knows this, but I was actually, you know, building bikes, and you know, I was painting them and trying to flip them, and you know, just trying to do bikes.
So that was like your first way
that
to
was
make
my
money.
first thing until
That's
I went
what's
down a hill and the front wheel locked on me and I flew like 30 feet up in the air, and I like, you know, I messed up my arm, and I was like, you know what, maybe bikes are not for me. You know, so I was like, let me get back to music. And with music, I started off kind of like as an artist. You know what I mean? I was just like, I was doing things with a friend of mine, Reidy.
Yeah.
And we were working together. First we started off as a duo, and he was making the beats at that time. And when I started making beats, actually, this is a funny story, because Reidy was the one making all the beats, and we had put together a small, like, you know, album, if you want to call it that, or a mixtape. And he came at me and he said, "Oh, I just did this song by myself." And I was like, "What the fuck? Like, what you mean you did a song by yourself? Like, you know, you didn't even tell me about it? You just want to go off and do a song? All right." So I listened to the song that he did, and I was like, you know what? All right, so I'm going to make my beat too, and I'm going to make my own song by myself, because we were a duo.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? This is going to be my song, and I did my own beat, and I did my own song, and I put it in the album. And that's how that whole production thing really got started. It was with that moment of like, I was like, that's not cool, man.
You felt left out.
Yeah, I felt left out.
That's my boys over here making hits.
I'm going to start doing it too. Yeah. And, you know, later the group became bigger, which Alofoque, with Hassel and Haris, then later came on. And, you know, I think to this day, Alofoque was probably one of the biggest groups locally, because we were selling out shows. And when I say we were selling out shows, we were selling out shows. 300, 400, 500 kids that were going to see us in different venues.
Yeah, no, I remember. I remember being, I was working at Lids in Galleria Mall, and then you and Helly came by, and you was like, "Yo, we got a group, and we about to get signed." So I'm like, "What? I'm only working at a hat store, and y'all talking about getting signed? This is not fair." I think I picked the wrong profession, and I didn't learn my lesson. I stayed in it, but regardless, I was like, "Yo, that's pretty dope that you was out there chasing your dreams. Who knows, you know, where to come to." Talk to me about it yourself, Cheddar. Like, where did this start for you? Like, I know you was in school, and you had this passion to open a food truck before the food trucks was popping, right? Because food trucks became a trend, but you was before the trend. Yeah, how did you see that coming up, and you're like, "Yo, I'm gonna be first at it"?
The food truck was kind of like an accident. When I say the food truck, I kind of, one of my best friend, I remember I came home from school. This might be my first year. This like 92, 93.
Yeah.
I came back from Virginia. I went to Norfolk State. Came back home, and he had a gas grill on the porch. So he was out there cooking. And, you know, at the time he was in culinary art school, you know, getting his food and stuff together. So his big brother is like the big homie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was got the big homie.
So the big homie was like, "Listen, you know, I'm gonna get y'all a grill."
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And he kind of like, we was like, "All right." And what it was we wanted to go to Philly, to the Greek show, to the Greek Fest. And we like, you know what? We're gonna go to the park and we're gonna sell food, and we're gonna make enough money to go to the Greek. We made enough money to, like, you know, we went to fucking airport, got some rentals. You know, we made about $600-700 easily in one day. The next day we made another $600-700. So we like $1,400-1,500 up. So we went and got some rentals, got on the highway, and got out of town or something. So we came back the next weekend, and we just had in the first it was like a food, you know, like just a table and a stand. After that, you know, now you start to play business. Now you're like, okay, breads, waters, sodas, and you know, you start to understand your business. And from there, you know, 10 years, 11 years, you know, I went back to school, and then I come home, and, you know, I never worked. I get enough money in the summer to be straight.
Yeah.
So And then years on, once I graduated from school, I just bought a truck.
You just straight
No,
up.
so-
How did you buy that truck? Just straight saving it?
To be honest, this is what happened. The first food truck, I looked back then. You remember the newspaper? You couldn't go online. What was the paper? It was like a red and white. It was like, I don't know, had all the cars in it.
Yeah.
So I found the food. I found the food truck in there.
Yeah.
I must have found several. So I kept riding out. I finally found one. It was like 18,000. I was like, all right. So I think I had like 10.
And you were saving that from all like the business you were doing on the side with you.
Exactly.
So you just piled that
So
up.
by
And
this
you had
time,
enough to put a
by
10,000 like deposit on something. And
Yeah,
then,
but by this time, I've graduated from college. I mean, I had Honda Accords, I had cars, I had other businesses. So I had already had the detail shop. I had other, so by this time, I just had several businesses by this time, and I had a couple of dollars. I wasn't broke, but I didn't have enough, to be honest. I know I didn't have enough because I had to borrow some money from my pops.
Okay.
So I think he borrowed like six grand. So I had enough, went. And it was, the truck was 14. I borrowed 6 from him. I put up like the 6 and 4, and I put another 4 into like, putting speakers on and cleaning it up, freaking your shit, put a little finesse on my shit.
Hell yeah. I don't know if you watched the show The Chi. Have you saw The Chi?
Nah.
Hey, the homeboy in the show just bought his own food truck. So
The Chi.
Yeah,
The Chi. So exactly.
You bought the truck.
I don't know. He got his truck for shorts though.
Hey.
He got his truck.
When you saw his dream, he was all dreaming.
And it was
like,
crazy because back then I had to go to 1010 Mass Ave. I had to pull over my truck. They had to come through. I had to go to Fire Dude. He built He built a new fire extinguisher. So I think I had to spend. That was like another $1,500 I had to put in to build fire extinguishers and all this shit in my truck. So this was back in like maybe 2000. Yeah, I think 2000.
I think we graduated. Yeah.
So yeah.
No,
So then so from there,
you probably sold us a sandwich.
Yeah, probably, definitely. And it was cool. But the food businesses it's not tough. It's work. Work harder, not smart.
So what made you? So what made you get to the point where you're like, like the food truck isn't where I want to be for the rest of my life? Is that when you made the transition to magazines, or how did that transition work?
So at the time, my partner, who I came in with, so this 10 years. So we bought the food trucks 10
years.
So my same man, that's still my best friend to this day.
That's what's up.
He was just like, he was burnt out.
Yeah.
He was like, man, I'm tired. He was like, man, like that shit was like demanding.
Yeah.
Like it was your whole weekend.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think at least 2 or 3 of my good friends, you might have been twins, like we all wanted to do the food truck and we understood like what it took, because you don't have to just get the money's just part of it. You need to go to city, you need to get all the certifications, food.
But you have to say if you're having a busy weekend, you have to start on Friday or Thursday, Friday.
Your weekend's gone.
Buying gas for your food, make sure you got food, make sure your food is prepped, make sure everything's ready. Yeah. So by Saturday morning you're rolling out, and then you got to clean up. And you might say you want to start at 10 a.m. You gotta be there at 8 a.m. and then you might roll till 10 p.m. Yeah. And then next morning you're back up at 8 a.m.
the aggressive hours got to the point
so
where
that's, by Monday you just like, I just gonna sleep all Monday just to catch up. Yeah. But by then, like, that $700 wasn't just $700 no more. Yeah. That was 10 years ago. It was a whole lot. It was a different game by this time.
10 was like 15, 20 easy.
Yeah, but the it was just demanding. It took a lot, and I kind of understood that. So. And now I had a transportation company. I think I had a piece of property in Taunton. So, it was probably more demanding on him than me because I was doing several other companies as well. So I was like, all right, so we ended up just getting rid of the food truck.
And then you went to, is that when you made transition to the music industry, or like that part of it, or you just kind of just held back for a little bit and just kind of worked what you had at the time?
Nah, it was...
when did Cheddar Magazine come out?
04.
So it took you a couple years to kind of like regroup, and then you went for the magazine. What made you want to start a magazine?
I probably I was just doing events. I was doing car shows and stuff. I was doing like Kid Capri parties. I was doing
Capri parties.
Kind of doing things that were kind of different at that moment. I wanted to do a magazine. That's what it was. I wanted to do a magazine, like a blend of like Source magazines meets King magazine meets Black Enterprise. So if, like, this time DVDs weren't out, so You know, I just like those are the 3 magazines
No,
I just like to read the most.
The sources.
Sources gave me
like,
my hip
before,
hop.
like when you woke up in the morning, you wake up, you check your stuff, you go to the store, and you get your source.
Black
That was
Enterprise
like
gave me like the urban business stories that I would just like, and like, wow, this is how this person's getting money. Wow, this is what they're doing in Houston. Wow, you know, so that gave me that aspect. And King Magazine, I just love King. I was like, woo, this bad boy right here. What is that?
Yeah, most people love King. I can't.
So when it was time to I think I'll get my business plan together. So I knew what direction I wanted to go in, and I wanted the magazine, the actual print. As I was starting to do my numbers, now we're in the era where DVD magazines are becoming, you know, kind of popular.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say popular; they just coming out.
Kind of taking over.
You know, so 03. I don't know where they were in 03, 04, but they weren't. You know, they weren't like, you know, everywhere.
Yeah.
But they were kind of like, okay, this is what's next. So once I did the budgeting. And the cost for a magazine and the cost for a DVD were the same. Okay. Actually, the DVD was cheaper than the magazine. The press of a DVD was much cheaper than it was the press of a magazine.
Right.
And then, but the retail of a DVD at that time was $20. The retail magazine was $5. And then the production, what you needed to pay editors, and then it was like common sense. It was like,
I can do this shit on my own.
I'm gonna spend $30,000 on my first issue. To print the magazine, it would have cost me $30,000, but I could have bought all my camera equipment for $30,000.
Yeah,
you know. And at this time, I think I was buying XL1s, I was buying wireless mic systems, I was buying boom mics, I was buying lighting. I was, you know what I mean?
Is that where the Smack DVD came out? That
so
time?
this is Smack DVD era. This is definitely Smack DVD era.
That was
and
huge,
I would say Smack DVD was influential in my decision. You know, it's probably something I've seen. Probably
no, but the reason,
DVD,
but the only reason why I bring that up is because you're in the magazines. And you see where it was, and then you see other DVDs, 1 or 2 popping up. You're like, yo, I can do that too. And then spend less money to be able to produce that project. I'm doing essentially the same thing. I might as well just make that transition because I'm gonna save a lot of money and then kind of evolve. Because we all have to evolve. I think the key is evolving. Just like Richie's been able to do amazing involvement. So I think that's where you was able to kind of see it, where most people may not. Right, so then they may not fall. They fall under.
Adapting to the changes.
Yeah, adapting to the changes. I think that was huge, and that's what I'm getting at. Because for me, when I see that, I see a person that's like, okay, this brought tremendous, you know, success, but I understand that things are changing, and I'm gonna make sure I adjust with it. And that's what you did, and that's what I see. Would you agree? Makes sense. I know Richie's been, you know, the same with you. You've done a lot of evolving and changing too, not just with the club. But I want to start before the club part. Before the club part, you went and did something remarkable for everybody that's involved in your life, family, friends, everybody. So what did you accomplish that most people, you know, are looking to work towards? The guy got a Latin Grammy. Come on, like let's come on, like he's being modest, man.
He's the big guy on the couch. He's the man on the couch. For real.
Grammy,
He's the man on the couch.
Nah, I think we're all.
Can we drink to that?
Yeah.
Can we drink to that? Hell yeah.
This guy's got a Latin Grammy, man. He walked the red carpet. He got to meet a lot of good people. And when I watch all his videos, I feel like when I study on Richie, one of his main things was he wants to motivate and inspire others, right? In his history, and he was actually accomplished that. So Richie, bring me through that whole scenario. Bring me through the moment where like he was working towards it, and then the accomplishment of it.
The reason I got into music is because I couldn't get a job anywhere because I was here illegally. So all throughout high school, I went by, you know, making music, you know, going to school. And I remember in high school, when I think it was my freshman year, I remember they had that, it was a program where they kind of like linked you up with a company, and then you had to go into this company and they give you a job. AT&T. So when I went into that, you know, it was a web design company. The Madison was linking me up with. They were paying like $20, $25 an hour, which at that time was like, that's a lot of money. So I went in for the interview. I got the job. The lady who interviewed me said, all right, come back tomorrow, bring me your social, bring me your paperwork, and we'll get you processed. So I went home and I was like, Mommy, where's my social?
Oh.
And that's when I found out that I was an immigrant, because I didn't even know.
Wow.
So she was like, you know, you don't have a social because you're not here legally. And I was like, well, that sucks. You know? So not only couldn't I get a job,
I don't even think you understood the severity of not having a social. Like at that age, you probably just knew that sucked because you can't get that job.
Because you couldn't get the job. But I found out that I couldn't go to college. Because I wasn't gonna be able to afford it.
Yeah, that's when it started hitting you. Like,
and I wasn't gonna be able to get any sort of financial aid.
Mm.
So at that point, high school to me became useless. Which is another reason why I wasn't that great of a student.
You can't find a lot of motivation in that.
Now, music, the first beat I made $150. And I was like, I just made $150.
It's not bad.
So you know what? Let me make some more. And I started making more music. And that's when I really got getting into production because it was a way for me to make money without really having to get a job.
Right.
You know? And I stuck to it. And later it became something that I really wanted to pursue. You know, I did the La Fuga thing and the group did well. We ended up having differences in opinion and we ended up breaking up. You know, at that time, the group stayed together, but I was kind of separated from that. And it was hard because it was something that I started. It was like my baby. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave. I'm going to go to New York. I had met a sister.
Wait, you went to New York?
I went to New York.
Just up and left.
I went to New York because
you had an apartment or a job?
While I was going to New York, believe it or not, my dad was a bit of a hoe. So he had a lot of kids.
No doubt.
And I actually have an older sister who I met.
Can we drink to that?
Get it the pops.
So, I met my sister, Vanessa, who's my older sister. And, she knew of me, I knew of her, but we've never met. So one time I went up there with the guys.
So wait, you tell me your sister's the reason why you got a Latin Grammy?
So my sister's the person who really opened the doors for me to go to New York and gave me the opportunity to be there.
Shout out to Pop.
To be able to meet people. And at this time what was popping was what? MySpace. So MySpace was the tool I used to find out who was working at Sony, who was working at Universal, who was working at one of the labels at the time was UBO, Urban Box Office. And UBO was the label behind Chosen Few. And they had several other artists.
Right.
So when I went over there, I started working with them. I started networking. At the time, I had really good beats. And this is the time that, Nori was doing Oye Mi Canto with Don Omar. And what's his name? Big Mado. And what's this dude? He's actually my boy.
But this is hip hop, and you were still paying attention to
the
hip hop.
This is reggaeton.
Because you had reggaeton. Okay, he was transitioning into the reggaeton. And you was like, "Oh, I see you coming over." Okay.
So they had a bunch of producers out there, and I went over there, and I ended up getting a job, which was to produce a remix with two guys. What's his name? Carl Sturgeon and something Rogers. I forgot. Evan Rogers.
Yeah.
And these are the guys that found Rihanna and discovered her and signed her. And they gave me to do a remix for Rihanna and a group that was coming out at the time called J Status. So I did that remix, and it was a reggaeton remix, and they loved it. And that was like my first gig out there that I was proud of. And I got paid I think it was $2,000-$3,000 for that. So I was like, you know what? This is it.
He was like, you went from 150 to 2-3 grand. That's not a bad come out.
So it was difficult being in New York. I'm not gonna lie, dude. There were days that I barely ate. I didn't want to impose too much on my sister because she had 2 daughters and she was single.
Shout out to the friends that bought you Domino's.
Yo, real talk. That's how I survived, bro. I used to call my boys up in Boston, and I was like, "Yo, I'm fucking starving. You gotta get me hook me up." And they would call Domino's from Boston, pay with their credit cards, and they would deliver to the house.
Right.
And I ate Domino's for I don't know how long. And while being in New York is how I met
I'm 280, man. Domino's fits me perfect.
I love Domino's.
Yeah.
I still love it. So while being in New York, I met so many different people, and one of the people I met was this girl named Karin Carriel, and she was a really good. She was working for UBO at the time, I believe, and she introduced me to other people. And long story short, I met this guy, Adot Robles. and he introduced me to another guy, and I ended up being this guy named Edgar. And like he was working with Nelly Alma Secreta. And Nelly was like a huge producer at the time. This is the guy that was producing Wisin y Yandel, Rakata, like all the big hits, Daddy Yankee. He was working with Hector El Father. He was working with like anybody back then. This was the guy that was working with them. And I said, I hit him up. I said, listen, I know how I write songs, I produce, I engineer, I can do videos, whatever you need, I got you. And they gave me the opportunity to like, you know, work with them. And eventually they ended up moving, I ended up moving in with them. You know, they gave me an opportunity, they gave me a home, and you know, they ended up letting me stay with them. And through there, I met Don Omar. And me and Don Omar, like, you know, he was like, the first day I recorded him, this is funny, because the first day I recorded him, first day I met him, we're recording in the studio, and he's recording, and he's singing, and I stopped it. And I said, yo, that's it, it's not a whack, you gotta do it again.
Wait, so Don Omar was already like seasoned.
He was already huge.
He's already huge.
Huge.
And you're the young
and
guy
I'm recording him,
coming in, telling him, yo, that sounds whack.
And I was like, yo, let's do it again. And I recorded. And then after I hit record the second time, I was like, oh my God, I just fucking told him. And then he came into the studio and he was like, yo, you know what? I like that. I respect that. And he gave me his number.
Word.
And he became really cool with me after that. And fast forward to a few months later, dude, the guy asked me to move in with him. So I lived with Don Omar for about like 2.5 years. And
no more Domino's pizza, man.
Oh, we're still eating Domino's.
Still?
No, but this time I couldn't afford it, but it was still good. I was just used to it.
I would say it's an upgrade in the meal.
It was
man.
part of the routine. So,
right?
you know, like, you know, I lived with him for several years and I produced everything that he was working on, you know. And working with him, I met Tony Dice, I met Chino Nacho, because Don Omar was always going to Venezuela a lot to do performances. And when Chino Nacho, they came to New York to work with a song with Don, I ended up producing the song. And, you know, they were huge in Venezuela. And long story short, after we did that song, they went back to Venezuela. It did all right. It did okay. But then they came back. They called me. They wanted me to produce their whole album. You know, and you know they paid me good money.
I mean that's amazing. But what I see from that story, I don't help me out because you're in the music industry. I see that one, he was able to see the talent, right? He was able to see that these two guys are going to be able to be really huge because I don't think they were that big in Venezuela, right?
They were pretty big in Venezuela, but they didn't have international status.
Okay, and then all they did was they chose you to produce their album. They come down, and that's
I don't know why they chose me.
Because you told Don Omar,
so maybe because I was next to Don Omar or whatever, but like they chose me to produce their album, and the way we worked that out, they came to Boston for like a week or two. In 1 week, we did about 11 or 12 songs. Nice. In 1 week, one of those songs was Mi Niña Bonita, which is the song that blew up in 2009, 2010. And we got like so many Billboard awards for that. They got other awards for like, you know, new artists and other stuff.
I mean, honestly, they still eat today because they still have that.
The Grammy was the biggest song that really just like the biggest award that we got.
Absolutely,
you know?
Absolutely.
So that was pretty.
Yeah, it's dope. No, I just think it's dope because you know I think that's a dope come up. But more importantly, like what you were willing to do to get there, right? And then for me to share that message is just showing that it's just you meet people, right? You meet the right person, you work hard, you prepare. You had a slogan. It was when preparation meets.
Preparation meets opportunity equals success.
Yeah, right. So you was prepared, opportunity came, and you nailed it. So
that's. You know what's funny? I actually learned that in Madison.
Yeah,
that stuck with me.
TV production.
TV production.
Yeah.
I learned it in Madison, and that stuck with me. And when the whole thing happened, when Nelly.
Pascal?
No, it was Mr. Collins and Mr. Worrell.
Mr. Worrell.
TV
production, so, you know, working.
When that happened, dude, like when I was in school, I always saw that quote on the board.
Yeah, right.
And to me, I was like, you know what? I need to prepare myself. So when the opportunity came that Edgar Tavera, the guy who was managing Nelly, called me and I was like, listen, I produce, I do this, I do that. Like, he couldn't say no.
Yeah.
because I was doing it all. I was doing everything. So I prepared myself to the point where I was gonna get that opportunity and I was gonna become successful at it.
So for me, the successful part at it is definitely difficult, but you learn a lot. I'll be like, even with you, like you've got your hands in a lot of different pots and pans. Like, you just working hard. Like, what are you doing that's different from others that people can pick up on? Because your interest is income in different ways, right? Just making sure you hustling and working hard. So what did you take out from that story that would have helped for others?
Well, what you said was, why did they choose him? He said why they chose him. How many times you see it fucking, you get 11 hot songs in 7 days? When was the last time you did 11 songs in 7 days? When was the last time you worked that hard? Like, put all that energy. So they knew the quality of music, but they knew the energy he was gonna give them. So that's important because they're a business too. So they're saying, damn, I gotta get this shit done, but we need that sound. And they probably been looking for it. But we need to get it done. And they just knew that, like he said, he was ready. He was prepared. What they needed was the opportunity. They gave him, and it worked. You know, so it was a combination of two.
So for you going forward, you know, at that point, what was next after that? So now is this where you got your Latin Grammy? Talk to me about the Latin Grammy experience as well, too.
The Latin Grammy experience sucked because
that's crazy. It sucked.
I still had no papers. So how do you get from Boston to Vegas without flying?
How'd you do it?
It took me like 3 days on a train.
Whoa. The dedication.
I went 3 days on a train, dude. And
Fuck
the
train.
Fuck
that. Someone would have drive to get an Uber. It's something.
I didn't want to go, but you know what? I didn't want to drive. You know why I didn't want to drive? Because I didn't want to risk getting pulled over and getting asked for my ID or whatever. You know what I mean?
And you didn't want to get put away the weekend before, like, the biggest weekend.
That would have really sucked. So what's funny?
So how would you get around before that?
Nah, I was rides, bro. Depending on other people.
But you were leaving the country, wasn't you?
No.
Oh, you never left the country.
I never left the country until about like was 2018. I got my papers back in like 15.
What was that route like?
So
it was beautiful.
So when they was in Venezuela,
I got a room. I got a train and I got a room.
They just came to you because they had no other choice. When you said but when they did the Grammy song, when they did the music, they really probably wanted you to come to them, did they?
Oh yeah, dude. I lost so many opportunities because there were so many artists that I worked with that wanted me to go to Puerto Rico, wanted me to go to Colombia or Venezuela, wherever they were at, but I couldn't do it. So they were like, "Yo, just come through." As a matter of fact, like even with Don Omar, even with
everybody
Don Omar,
goes to Miami though. Any Latin community.
Miami's hot now, but Miami wasn't hot.
Yeah,
back then. This is like back in 04.
Yeah, fuck.
No, and back in 2010, it wasn't that hot. But what was hot was actually New York. That's why Don Omar was in New York. That's why everybody else was in New York.
For the Spanish train.
For the Spanish. Then now it's transition. Now everything's in Miami now.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was different.
You had to come to Miami to meet me. Fuck that.
Talk to
meet you halfway from Boston to Miami. That's it.
So for me, it's there's a lot of undocumented children that's in the United States, not just in Massachusetts, but everywhere. It's even a topic that's brought up nationally by Trump. So for me, it's you represent not just Americans. You represent undocumented Americans.
I was one of those.
And that's
kids.
a whole nother realm.
And this is the thing about it, like. You grew up with me essentially. We went to school together. We know each other from back then. And do you agree that people who are undocumented, those kids should go back?
No, never that.
But
absolutely
there's
not.
People that do.
Yeah.
There's friends of mine that do until I tell them I do. But do you think I should go back, bro? And they're like, nah, because you've been here. And I was like, exactly. That's my point.
Yeah. No,
I've been here. Those kids have been here. So it's kind of like the same thing.
I just think about those children without parents and parents without children.
Yeah.
That to me alone should be the reason why nobody should even even let this even go on any further. Because for me, my children mean everything. I can't imagine being like, listen, you're not from here. You need to get back. But my children are being raised here, so I could never.
For example,
so let me play devil's advocate, right? What about those people who use that system? They're like, as soon as I get here, have a baby, they can't separate us.
That's not even true.
No, there is that mentality though.
He's just talking about the
baby's here. The baby's an American, a citizen.
Yeah, baby's an American, but just like you said, splitting up that family, right? you don't want to, but you're like, if I can't send back the parent because the parent has to be a parent, that means I have to send them both. And the child is like, I've been living here. I don't know this country that my parent came from, but they gotta go. What about that? There are people who do that. They're like, I have the baby here. The baby's a citizen, so I have to stay here.
I'm saying sometimes there's loopholes in the system. What about the people who come through on the tax system and make a couple of million because they donated a few $1,000s?
Oh, there's
all right. There's loopholes in any system.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a loophole.
Is, like,
well, it happens.
See, that right there though is a perfect example of what's wrong, because the people who are actually doing that or maybe doing that are a very small percentage. Like,
but there's people who come and just get married for no reason. There's going to be loopholes in any system. I think the fundamental version, the fundamentals are there. Like if you're here, like the Dream Act. This is what we're kind of talking about.
The Dream Act is what gave me the opportunity to get my papers.
Exactly. Yeah. By Obama's, were you paying attention when Obama extended? Were you at that time in life? Were you like, oh wow, Obama kind of extended the Dream Act? Or
when Obama did the Dream Act,
you just did.
That's what gave me the opportunity to become legal. Mm-hmm. That's literally what did it for me. That moment in time when Obama said we're gonna do this, that's what gave me the opportunity. Otherwise, I would still be here illegally. Mm-hmm. Now, is it fair that I would be here illegally all this time after everything that I've been doing and accomplishing? I still pay taxes. Even when I was illegal, I had a fucking tax ID number where I was paying taxes. And I was paying a lot of taxes.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's fair at all. I mean, I think Mike, I think we're just trying to bring a different perspective. But the part that 5% or 12%, 15% people think that way can end up in office. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the scary part, right?
I just think like you're only looking at one group of people. What if you're Russian and you come over here and have a baby? What if you're, you know what I mean? What if you're from China and you come over?
What about the people that go down to different countries?
Yeah. Exactly. So I'm not.
Let's talk about Trump himself.
Yeah,
how many wives?
That's not just.
How many wives did Trump have? 3. That are out of the country, that were born outside the country, and he went to them, married them, and brought them into the country.
Exactly.
All 3. Well, 2 of them were imported.
Because it was convenient for him.
You know what I'm saying, though?
No, it makes sense.
But the point is, like,
I'm saying, but if you try to analyze Trump, you're the fool.
Yeah.
Come on, like, come on, man.
But the problem is, but the problem is that fools can be elected, right? So fools can take office, and fools can have a lot of power and a lot of decisions.
Do you agree that he's a fool?
Of course.
So, but
they exist.
You kind of like he's out.
Of course. Nah, I mean, that's not even.
So,
I agree with you 100%.
So
but
if you agree with that, why would you even try to analyze and make sense of anything he does?
I think it's just making sure we don't have that problem continuing. Right?
But he's going to continue to be that way.
We can't continue to have more Trumps in office.
Oh, I was saying
that. This should be a learning lesson for us all to make sure we go back and be like, yo, this is not happening again.
Trump set a trend. Because the next person that comes after Trump, that's gonna basically hold a campaign, is gonna be even more crazy than Trump is.
I think what we learned was with Trump is 2 things. One thing is the country is way more racist than anyone would have ever had imagined that there was this much racism in the country.
Yeah.
And number 2 is, can a election be stolen? We still don't know that at this moment. We still don't know that. On the outside, it looks real shaky.
It looks very well manipulated.
Exactly. So can an election not be? Can an election be manipulated?
So if it does, then we lose opportunities in different spaces.
Well, the thing is, like, one of the issues that I have right now is with the fake news that's going on Facebook. You don't understand how many times I gotta go and comment on people's posts and say, "Listen, you need to check the post and check the source of this because this is fake. This is a lie."
Yeah.
You know, for example, this one that's popular, that's about people who are vaccinate their kids. They shouldn't get vaccinated because, if they get vaccinated, they're going to get, they're going to end up with some sort of, like, deformity or mental incapacity or whatever. Like, they're just going to get messed up.
I get it. Hey,
dude,
social media.
This is all BS.
Yeah. Show
me a credible source. Okay? That did a study and proved this to be right.
Yes, baby.
There isn't one. There isn't one. And it's the same thing, for example, there's all this like, oh, we're going to come in and we're going to take your guns. Obama wants to take your guns. Obama wants to do this. Obama wants to do that. This is all propaganda.
But that's the fool again. Who's going to believe anything they read on social network?
The people who voted for Trump.
I'm saying I'm saying it's hopefully
there's a lot of people that voted for Trump.
Become
listen,
less
if a fucking black president, if Obama had
in
3 different kids from 3 different women, have been divorced that many times, have been bankrupt so many times, have been accused of having an affair with a fucking porn star, he would have been impeached already. Come on, dude.
I mean, for
a
me,
man who's been accused of fucking rape. There was like a 15-year-old accusing him of rape or something.
Yeah.
You know, he's been accused by several women. Okay. He himself.
He's a gangster.
He's a gangster. I'm not gonna glorify that.
I'm saying, not who said like.
I'm
not glorifying a gangster. What I'm doing is I'm not saying a gangster. I'm not glorifying gangster, but that's a straight gangster mentality.
Yeah, no.
Someone who takes whatever the fuck they want to take.
Right, so
Someone's gonna say, I'm gonna take an election. Someone's gonna say, I'm gonna take this woman, I'm gonna pay her off, I'm gonna buy another lawyer to pay him off, and you can't touch me. I'm gonna do what I want to do.
What is your feeling on guns?
That's a gangster.
I think guns need to be controlled. I think guns need to be. I think they have to have a better plan around it. I don't like the fact that any regular person can get any gun, especially assault rifles. That to me is above.
Listen, I have a friend that he's a really good friend of mine. And him and I go back and forth and we argue about this point.
Yeah.
Now, I posted something on Facebook talking about, oh, we're not trying to take your guns, blah, blah, blah. And he said, oh, but what if, you know, for the sake of argument, you know, cars kill more people on a daily basis. Why don't we start regulating cars? That's like cars are regulated. To get a license to drive a car, bro, you got to get a driver's, you know, first you got to get your permit. Then you got to pass a driver's test. And then you get your license. Now, me personally, I think that for guns, I think everyone has the right to own a gun.
Yeah.
Whether it be a gun, whether it be an assault rifle. I don't have a problem with assault rifles.
Yeah.
I don't think that they are necessary.
Assault rifles are not necessary.
They're not necessary, but if you want to own one, I think you have the right to own one. Yeah. What I do believe is that anyone who wants to own a gun should have some, you know, there should be a process. You know, there should be some sort of like health related, like, you know, I find out if the person has some sort of mental issues.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of this? Have them hold on. But right now, any 18-year-old can go down to a gun show and buy a gun, and that's not right.
That's not the same as it is in Boston. I know.
No, in Boston is a little bit more strict.
A little bit, but I think they could do a little bit more to reform.
But I'm saying on a more like widespread scale, it should be like nationwide.
Yeah.
Also, as a driver, you know you have different class of licenses.
That's true. That's true too.
With a gun license, you just have a gun license
and
a permit for concealed carry. That's it.
Yep. This guy's very political. He's in the back there, but he's
nah, that's why he's
very political.
Shout out to Mike in the background.
But it depends on the station
breaking it down. But even, alright, so but just to kind of bring it back, you know, like, let's get into a funner subject because guns are a little tougher. Cannabis, man. Both of you guys love are interested in the field of cannabis.
Is it okay if I roll some weed right here? I'm smoking outside, but can I roll some weed right here?
Right after this,
I was smoking like on the offset, but can I like just
I think
practice?
You can practice.
Me personally,
I'm sure you practice enough, bro.
Me personally,
you brought it up. I'm just saying, hey.
But you're not interested in some of like the cannabis type of like ventures, right? I know you've talked about investing into it.
I'm very interested.
Exactly.
Very interested. I'm in the cannabis.
You're sponsored by.
So now I have very close
nice
ties in the industry, in the cannabis industry.
So what brought you into cannabis? Why do you have interest in that?
Because I'm a businessman and I indulge in it. Why wouldn't I be? Shit. yeah. So
everybody smokes.
Mm-hmm. Like the thing about the cannabis business though is very friendly business, but it's a secret society. But it's the most giving industry ever.
I feel like most industries are secret society. Most industries are protected, like clothing, music.
No, they're protected in like in secrets in like in ideas of like what do you do and who you know. This is more protected in like it's like I don't know. It's like either you kind of like you in it or you just kind of like you're not. You know, it's like a completely different.
You
world.
can't just jump into it now. You're saying most people already been involved for years on end.
If you did, you'd probably just be jumping in with people who were jumping in. You know, but there's people who've been in cannabis business. It's 10 years old. It's not nothing new. It's been legal for 10 years in some parts of the country.
But there's different. All right, so you say that, but there's different places in Massachusetts that are very hard. Like there's different cities, right? So you have Malden, you have Boston, you have Melrose, you have Walpole. Different cities are sanctioning it in different ways, right? So some city will say, "Hey, we're gonna open up a shop here." Some are saying we do not want to shop here because it's gonna bring too many people like that we don't want around. So that's where I'm at. Like, how are you seeing that?
I think that's the problem with it. Like people who don't know the industry just think it's just shops, and that's all they see is shops. You know, they don't.
But the city, right? So you have councilors, the city councilors. You have all. They're the ones that's like kind of holding it back.
But I just don't think people understand the different forms of THC. Even they don't even understand. There's wax. There's creams. There's cookies. There's edibles. There's so many different forms of cannabis, and there's so many different parts of the industry. Yeah. It's not just smoke weed and go to a pot shop and that's it. It's way bigger than that. Yeah. And I think, but the people on the inside, they know that, but the people from the outside, they just like, it's pothead shit. Yeah. And it's way more than some pothead shit. It's some shit that people...
You clapping a little?
It's the type of business... Thank you. But it's really the type of industry where people with multi-million dollars want to put their money. True. So if you're a mover and you're shaking, you know what you're doing in this industry, it's very easy to find investors because they want to be in this. This is the next big thing. It's big. It's like the stock market. Not stock market. It's like It's like the internet. Remember when the first wave of the internet and everybody was just cashing in on it? Motherfuckers is cashing in on the weed industry. It's huge right now. You know, I think it's important that in our communities we pay attention. You know what I mean? And we start to educate ourselves in what's going on. Yeah. You know, like just educate yourself with your peers. Find someone like you or like-minded, and you all build. You know what I mean? And that's what he said. In anything you do, you have to network. Yeah. So you have to start your own networks of friends in your community. So if you got a buddy, he may not be your best friend, but you know some guy. Hey, y'all start collaborating. And then you know what I mean, and you kind of go from there, and you can collaborate on social network to some degree.
Yeah, but Al, what may seem simple to you is very difficult to others, right? And I say that out of respect, right? Because you somehow are able to like invest in different areas, be involved in different areas, and you can also see it coming before others. And I say that because when I look at your podcast. Shit, you know how hard it is for like where you're at is pretty dope. Like you've been doing this for years now. Before podcast was popular, right? You were doing cannabis before cannabis was popular, right? Like as far as like these trends, like so you're able to see things that other people can't.
But networking is still networking. If I want to be a rapper, I still have to go out and network with DJ. Yes, if I want to be a rapper,
but that's what we're sharing. Like,
but if I'm a rapper, I want to be the next big rapper in the town. I can't stay in the house. I have to go to talk to every DJ, every producer. I have to network. Yeah. So if I want to be in the cannabis industry, I have to network with cannabis people. It's still the same thing. Yeah. Like he has to network with beat people if he wants to make beats.
There's something that we're not talking about. There's something we're not talking about. Now, I think that the Cannabis Control Commission here in Massachusetts has done a great job at trying to get minorities and people of color in the door. Now, when you look at the medical marijuana dispensaries that currently exist in Massachusetts, and I've looked up all the corporate filings for these people because I wanted to know who they were. Most of these people are rich white guys who are out of state. A lot of them are from Colorado and other states that have been that have legalized marijuana for a long time. And I don't even want to say marijuana, I want to say cannabis. Now, the problem with that is that one, if we don't move, you know, we're not going to be able to get a minority owner. You know, there's only one minority-owned medical dispensary here in Massachusetts. Just one. In Brockton.
Also liquor. There's only one black owner of a liquor store in Boston. Really? Yes.
I didn't know that, but that's crazy.
Exactly. So why would you expect someone to own cannabis?
Exactly.
Come on, if there's one black owner of a liquor store in Boston,
Now,
how could you possibly expect
you work in
like,
the bank industry.
common sense?
Yeah.
You work in the bank
Go back to the
industry.
secret society.
Now, the Cannabis Control Commission has done their job. The reality is that there's not going to be many qualified applicants to get a cannabis recreational license.
I want to see the qualifications behind that.
Because, but I'm gonna tell you why. Because there's really not gonna be that many people who are black or brown or business owners who are gonna be interested in pursuing this.
But
if they are, they're gonna need to show a lot of like their financing.
That's the part that I want to see. I want to see what the financials look like. I want to see what the credit has to look like.
So here
I
we
want to
go.
see what all that parts look like.
Here we go. It breaks down to the like. It's about. I hate to cut you off, but it's about networking and where you start. So if you really want to do this, if you really, really want to be in this industry, you have to start somewhere. So I don't think there's many people in the urban community who can get into the cannabis industry today.
They won't be able to, no.
I don't think that, because the sign-up money, you got to have $2 million to start off with first, the insurance policy and some other money, just to get an application.
No,
The insurance policy has to be a $2 million insurance policy.
So
Exactly.
$2 million insurance
So there's some
policy.
things that has to, but I don't want to discuss all that stuff before. What I want to just say is getting in the industry, because I'm gonna treat this shit like it's any other business. So it doesn't mean you can't go to school. It doesn't mean you can't learn the difference in your flowering, in your veg cycles, and learn seeds and learn growing. It doesn't mean you can't, or just learn how to extraction. It doesn't mean you can't learn that shit right now. You can still get educated.
100%.
You know what I mean? Because they need people to do this stuff, correct? Mm-hmm. So by you just sitting around saying I can't get in is the weak man's mentality. So if you network with a guy who's doing this and you start finding out the ins and outs, do you think Massachusetts is going to be the only weed state in the next 10 years? So if you got the knowledge and the information and you're ahead of the curve, where you want to be when the law changes in the next state or the next state or the next state.
I agree with you, but that's not the issue. The issue right now is that I want to see more people of color get those licenses.
What I'm trying to say, you just said that
now,
but what I'm saying is
the people who have
they're
licenses
locking us
are
out.
not that.
They're
Now,
locking
this is
us
the problem.
out.
Like
But-
you said, you know how you said about the knowledge of the
can you
industry?
get in the industry? Don't be afraid. There's other ways to get in the back door.
But this is the problem. Like you know how you said that
That's a
if you
weak
know
man's
if you
mentality.
understand the industry, you're gonna be looking into different states. Now, if
But
you look
you
at
have
the
to get
states,
educated first. You can't just want a dispensary and you don't. How do you grow? You don't know how to grow. How do you have
No,
enough
but
land? And you
you
don't have enough
but
land.
listen,
I
don't think
you
people
don't
have a-
need you don't need to understand the industry as a whole.
How can
depending
you?
on-
How can you not? How can you get in producing, making beats, and having a label? If
No,
you don't know,
no.
If you don't know
It's
how
not
to
the
sign a
same,
one
because
sheet,
There's
or
people
to
that-
sign.
but there's
How
some
can you
of
even
it-
get in the music
In the
business if you don't know?
cannabis industry,
There's
there's
silent
different
investors.
categories. There's different categories.
I'm saying, but
There's
you have to
people-
know the
No,
industry.
but there's silent
you
investors.
Have, but can
Some
someone
people
get
want to
in the-
invest in some
If
shit
I
that
want
has
to say I
nothing
want a
to do
label
with it.
right now, and I don't know anything about a split sheet, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind. Correct? I want a
You
label.
may, but there's
but
a
he
lot
gonna
of
say,
silent
yo,
investors
sign
out
this split
there.
sheet. He's gonna get bliss. What am I gonna do? What do I know about a split sheet?
There's different things. Split sheet is the split sheet is
I'm
one of the
fucking
things
lost. So if you don't know your shit, you're lost. So you have to know your industry.
But there's a lot of people. Yo, get out of here. You are invested into like 7 different fields. I don't think you know every.
You don't think I went to film school?
Maybe you did. I'm not saying, but I'm just
You
saying
don't think
like.
I went to?
but
You don't think I have a BS in
you don't think-
entrepreneurship?
No. I'm talking about like just a silent investors. There's people that just like want to throw in
I'm
some money.
saying
and make some
anything
money.
I've been in, I've studied and I learned.
Yeah,
I didn't just get here by accident.
No. But that's what you hear. Point is your respect. The point is, I'm trying to say is like I don't think every single person that invests into something knows the industry inside and out.
But you don't have to
But
necessarily go to school. And this man just told you he dropped out of high school.
Yeah.
And he put his time and his energy in making beats.
I got my diploma.
So if he put his energy, I'm just saying. But I'm saying But you at that, He got his diploma, but he felt like that shit was nothing.
Yeah.
But he
didn't
got
get it.
himself educated. Educated is not necessarily getting your diploma. Educated is getting the knowledge.
but-
So he got the
You
knowledge.
want to talk about Richie?
He said he had to
No,
get fucking.
but-
he had to order. Motherfuckers had to order this nigga
start-
food.
he
He had to order from another
But
city.
all right, so he was successful.
So
in-
he took the
but hear me
time
out.
to educate
But hear me out.
himself
But hear me out. He was
and
successful.
make beats and
Watch,
live on
watch,
somebody's
watch.
sofa
He
and
was
do
suc-
whatever he had
yo,
the dude.
Pete, he's successful in the music industry. Yes. But how the hell did he get to where he's at with the restaurant and club industry? He started with a little fucking room, sorry for my swears, in Mojitos in downtown, in a little fucking spot that he bought somebody, and he went and brought that to Randolph. There was no instructions to get to a pool, to a bar,
So you
and
don't
the
think
biggest
that little
Latin
club
club.
he had, he wasn't studying? He didn't learn all the mistakes?
But some of that stuff you have to learn on the job too. But we can't learn on the job if you don't even get the job.
I'm saying he has
Listen,
a background. He has a
So,
background
he
in
can't-
sound.
so he
He's
gets
a-
into
he's the
he gets
perfect guy
he
for
gets
that.
into the
Why-
cannabis industry,
how
right?
could you doubt
'Cause they
this man at this
no,
time?
No, there's no doubting. This is you're learning on the job. You have to like figure it out and learn. So what I'm saying is cannabis industry is fucking hella hard to get in. But once you get in, there's a chance to grow, but it's harder to grow if you're not even in.
Listen, but my argument, and I
You
want to
have
make
to
it
get
clear.
educated. That's all I'm saying is
my
get educated,
argument-
network.
my
That's all I'm
argument-
saying. Get educated and network in the
My
cannabis.
argument.
But that's that education is what we're looking for everybody, right?
But
so you're
that's not
saying
my
for everybody
argument,
looking
though.
at, but it's still a good point. He's saying like for everybody that's watching the video,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to be successful in any industry, you have to know it and you have to work your resources and meet the people. I get that logic. What I'm saying is sometimes it's hard to even get that first foot in. So to get that first foot in, you may know all the information and you may never get to that one person you need to meet.
What do you gotta say about that, Rich?
What I'm gonna say about it is that there's different things in place already that are gonna go against you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going into the cannabis industry, and I will get a fucking license. I can fucking guarantee that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna get a license.
That's what I'm talking about.
Now,
What? I wanna work
what
with
I
you.
want to
Why?
see though, and what I don't want to happen, is I want more minorities to fucking own cannabis licenses. And
You
to
don't want
own
them to be left
dispensaries.
out in this
No,
huge
because
epidemic.
dude, I don't want this industry to become like the liquor industry.
Like if it was up to me,
Liquor was illegal during Prohibition. It became legal. And who owns most liquor companies? How many liquor companies can you name right now that are owned by a minority aside from Diddy?
Well, I was just told there was only one black owner in Boston.
And he's not even a majority
No,
stakeholder.
And he's selling his in the process of selling.
But
his
he's not a
location.
majority stakeholder. So those companies were by somebody else who had that company and said, you know what, Diddy? I'm going to give you this percentage and I'm going to give you this much profit. And I want you to become the face of it because I want to cater to your people because your people are the ones who are consuming it. That's my problem. Cannabis has fucked. You know how many fucking people do we know that went to high school that got locked up because of high weed
Yeah.
and
Now-
fucked up their lives?
So the problem is, right, is you want to open a shop to fix it. You don't fix it by opening a shop. You fix it by having more voices saying like we should own
Say
all.
that right there. Say it right there. Say it right there.
Okay, hold on.
I want people to hear this.
Okay,
I want people to
listen.
hear
You
this.
fix the problem by letting the voices be heard, and the voices saying we should own all the cannabis shops.
I'm not saying we should own all the
We
cannabis
should
shops.
own all the cannabis shops. We have
What
been the
I'm
most.
saying is-
Hold on. Listen, we have been the most disfranchised group of people from cannabis. How many people have lost fathers and daddies and time and jobs and can't get licensed
kids that
over
went to
cannabis?
school, yeah.
We have lost so much over it. So if any group of people is gonna prosper, it should only be us and us first, because
And
we have
we
suffered.
are.
But if we don't. But if we
But
don't
we are
say
being-
that, but
but-
we should demand that.
But people,
and that's what I'm
and we
saying.
have been. Dude,
We
I've
have
been,
to.
listen,
No, I'm
I
saying,
went-
and I'm saying, but that's the only way we're gonna really get some respect is until we say that.
But
Listen,
we have
y'all
been.
should give us everything, and that's how I truly feel. I feel like we should own all the cannabis shops.
I feel that way too.
If you're not a minority, you can't even have a
But
cannabis
this
shop.
is the thing,
Hands
though.
down.
I've been to.
Well, I mean,
No, but I've been to. Listen, I went to the
this
hearings.
area, but once it gets
No, I mean across the country.
You're talking about like
Eric,
Across the country, how
I've
many
been
people
to the-
are
I've
locked
been to
up,
the
black and brown,
hearings.
in California,
yeah, no, I hear
in
you.
Texas,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Georgia for
Yeah.
smoking a blunt.
Yeah,
Doing
yeah.
30 days,
Yeah.
can't get a job,
Yeah.
losing their license, gotta pay $1,800
Yeah, no, I'm
for
with
a
it.
fucking $10 bag of weed.
I'm with it, except for the part where it's 100% ownership, because you still got places like.
So how
Stoneham,
does
you still
somebody
got
now,
places
because I got
like Walpole,
$1
you still
million
got places-
money,
and we don't even
I
have
got $1
minority
million
out there,
bank
so it's not
account,
gonna work.
I can outbuy you and I can serve you, and
Yeah.
y'all I'm gonna prosper from this.
That's
Because I got the big money. It shouldn't be like that. It should the $2 million shouldn't even matter.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. They're fooling you already by putting the $2 million stamp on you.
but why are you even saying that though? Because that's not true.
Well, the $2 million insurance
You
stamp.
need a
you have to.
no. You need a $200 insurance. You don't need a $2 million insurance. You don't need $2 million in the bank. That's not true.
You still need a building.
But you're
still
saying
need-
that.
you still-
But you're saying that it's messing up people's minds who are listening to you speak, and they're saying, "Oh,
Okay,
I don't
excuse
got
me.
$2
I'm
million.
sorry. You need a $2 million
A
insurance
$2 million
policy.
insurance is only going to cost you a couple $100, maybe like $400 or $500 a month. That's a reality.
You need assets
But
to put up
but
behind
the
that.
reality is, how do you
No.
get to that
need
$2 million
collateral on that.
insurance?
You're
It's
not gonna
that
get
easy.
You're not
No.
getting a $2 million
Oh,
insurance.
you get a $2
collateral
million
policy.
insurance by fucking paying monthly.
Not
You have a
$400.
business.
They're gonna put your house on lease.
You got to put
Bro,
collateral up for
They're
that.
gonna put collateral. Yeah, they're gonna have to put some collateral up for that. There's no
This
way you're gonna
is
get
just to get, and then you need, and then how much is the application?
It's only a couple $100, probably like
Okay.
$1,500.
Okay. Only $1,500 for that, and that doesn't guarantee you getting anything, right? That's just to paying it in, correct?
Now this is the problem.
I mean,
this is
anything
the
to get
problem.
tested,
This
you
is
gotta pay
where
the
I
test
agree
fee
with
and
you.
that's
Where
it.
people need to get educated because people need to know their sourcing, where they're gonna get their weed from. It has to be from the state. This is why it's important to network and go to different meetings and meet different people. You know what I'm saying? But it's possible. It's doable. And we should try to do it.
I mean, that's the reason why the conversation got brought up, because I know when I spoke to Richie said he's out there learning about it, and as you can tell, Abby's definitely invested into it, which is a good thing, right? I think this is what the message should be.
You know what? I choose some things are just better not said. I just rather kind of be, you know what I mean. But the fact is, anyone can get involved. That's what I'm trying to say. But I totally agree with Richie. Like we need to own these candidates. We need to be in this industry because we have suffered so much, and how we get there is gonna be different. But I hope we're able to get there. You know what I mean? And it's like we really can't be divided. We have to be together, and that's how we're gonna really get there. Because if we're divided, they're gonna just play us and continue to run us in circles.
I mean, I like that whole, keep it together for most industries, right? Or for most, even in the community. I think being together in community, we could get a lot more accomplished.
You gotta understand, like this industry, like we are the promote. Like Snoop Dogg was doing this shit. Like Snoop Dogg and Redman and them brothers, they were losing contract and advertisement because they wanted to smoke weed.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? They couldn't get deals because they were pro weed.
Yeah.
But now everybody wants to be pro weed.
And then maybe.
Come on, man. We've been supporting this, and we've been in the forefront of this forever. Forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Since weed smoking was cool, you know what I mean? You have your hippies, and I wouldn't say that they, but over the last 20, 30 years, you know what it is. Come on, man.
I think the biggest thing is educating the public about what cannabis, what it does.
And we've suffered the most.
I
Promote the most and suffer the most. I'm sorry.
we
I think
cannabis
what you're
has a
saying
lot
is
of.
it started with a certain, but now it's spreading out to a lot more.
But the thing
generations,
is,
a lot more
like,
getting
people
involved
don't
with
know that there's different strains that do different things and make you feel different ways. People don't understand that there's a lot of positive,
CBDs and
CBD is great.
So that's what I mean. People have to get there. Until they get there, they
The
have
thing
to
is,
have their.
don't fight cannabis. There's a lot of people in a lot of towns now that are, not in my backyard. But like the reality is, like
It's coming.
it should be but it should be like, don't fight cannabis, fight opioids.
all day. Oh,
Yeah.
day.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
That's the
Oh,
that's the
problem.
That's the
Hell,
problem.
It's killing everybody.
And I'm gonna be honest with
For
you.
sure.
One of the reasons that it's been so difficult for cannabis to get in the door is because there's a lot of companies that do opioids that don't want it to get in.
That's right.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of industries that's going to
Your
lose out a lot of
lobbyists.
money.
They're
And
gonna
then
lose
they
a lot
lose
of
their money,
money.
and then cannabis starts taking over, and then they could become obsolete. And everybody goes to cannabis for their relaxation and being able to take care of some of their ills and aches, right? So I think that's extremely valid. But at the end of the day, where are you guys going with it next?
What the cannabis?
Yeah, where you?
The one bad law that I think is bad that this is something you kind of brought up early, where you sit on gun law. I feel like if I have a weed license, it shouldn't take away my gun license. That's one thing I feel, because the motherfucker go out, excuse my language, a person go out here and drink and be drunk and probably shoot everything up. Person go out here, smoke 5 blunts, and he gonna probably just drive home and get there safe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, cause I smoke, you want to take my gun license, but I can go drink at all the bars in the town.
It goes back to educating
Come on,
people
man.
about
So,
cannabis.
Education
like-
of people.
like-
But the problem
like
is
that-
there's a certain group of people that's hard to educate, right? They're already stuck in their ways. I'm playing the other side where they already feel that the weed is gonna destroy the community. They feel that giving whatever it is access to more.
Check
is gonna
this
hurt
out.
us.
There was a
opiates
guy.
is their. At the end of the day,
There was
there's a
a
reason
guy.
why opiates became something, right?
No,
They
but
thought
there
would
was
help people.
there was
Even
there
though
was a
it's
guy.
hurt
I think
people.
it was out in Cape Cod somewhere. He bought some weed from somebody, and he almost died because it was laced with fentanyl. So I believe that having recreational dispensaries is the best thing to do because why? There's gonna be accountability. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you buy some weed and there's something wrong with it, that weed is gonna be registered to a growing facility that sold it to you.
Exactly.
So there's gonna be accountability for that. You know what I mean? Right now, the way the current market sits, there's no regulation and there's no accountability. You can have somebody go off and buy a pound from somebody. They sell that pound and it's laced with fentanyl. Now you have, fucking 30 people that bought from this guy that potentially could get OD because they smoke fentanyl or another substance that shouldn't be in there. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my argument to the towns. Now you ask what is my goal or what's next? I'm gonna have several dispensaries that are for recreational use. They're gonna be in the city. They're gonna be helping educate the neighborhood and young people so they understand how it is or what cannabis is.
No, I think it's important. I think when you got your young guy that has to resort to certain items to get high, that's a problem, right? Especially when there's something then that's legal and is a lot better for you, right? So I think that's a much better, what avenue to take. But at the end of the day, these young guys still got to go to school and they still got to try to live their life and they still got to come across those people that's still taking those other drugs. So you're fighting against other drugs, you're fighting against the city, you're fighting against, the drug law to begin with. So I think that's the battle. So
Do you get drunk before you go to work?
Absolutely not.
So it goes back to knowing what's right and what's wrong, and that happens through education, educating people on what you should do and when you should do it.
How does that education look like, though?
Bro, just
I
like
mean, is
what-
that in school?
It
You're not
goes-
gonna- you're not
no,
gonna have
it's
that
as
in the
simple
school.
as me and you having a conversation.
Yeah,
It's that simple.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what cannabis does. I know what cannabis does. Sometimes, honestly, I can smoke weed, but I don't feel comfortable driving.
But how do we get to those people that's gonna prevent, people from being able to do both, smoking and carrying, right? How do we get to those people and educate them? Because they're the ones that's still in control, right? No matter what we say and how much sense it makes, these guys are still gonna say, "Well, I still don't want Albie out there with this and this," right? So how do we get to them? How do we educate those people? Because they're the ones that. Or you just talking about the next generation, just
be
working on
honest-
this generation, so the next generation comes
To
up.
be honest,
and
I'm
it's gonna-
shocked at how far we've come so fast.
Yeah, that's true. Too.
So I'm just have complete, but there's still other
There's
barriers.
still- yeah.
There's still barriers to cross, and I just think with this administration, we'll never get past that barrier. So that's just more patience. But
So just working
that's
on the
just
next
something
generation.
that we have to. Because you asked the question, well, in the weed in the cannabis industry, what do you see as a barrier? And I just think that's something that's kind of like an unfair. If I have a medical problem and I need medical cannabis, why are you taking my gun license from me?
Yeah. Yeah.
What does that have to be? I just think it's nah. I don't think they have anything to do with each other.
They may not, but they still control it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about.
No,
but
they do.
But
They
what
do.
you
No,
said
they
was
do.
pretty dope. At the
They
end of the
do.
day, the generations that we are control
Yeah,
over,
so
that we
it's
can
just-
support, it's going to be
it's
the reason why we can
it's a
continue
new
to make some
fight.
changes in the future.
In the
Yeah,
future.
and I agree
So,
with that. I just think right
you
now,
always-
I think, like you said, we've come a certain way. We've come a long way, and we have to be, appreciate what we have. I mean, the fact that you're even talking about investing and owning how many, dispensaries, that to me is hella cool. And the fact that you're so involved with it too is pretty cool. So I mean, I guess that's pretty cool in itself. Just to kind of start wrapping up for each person, Richie, you did your part with the music. Now you own one of the biggest clubs, right? What is life like now for you, and where what are you trying to do moving forward?
Right now I'm enjoying my kids, I'm enjoying my family. I thought I was gonna die a few months ago.
Why?
I went to the hospital for something and they found some other shit, and I was just like, yo, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness you're okay.
But
right?
thank God everything's
Salute.
good.
Salute to good health.
But
wood down here.
that kind of made me reflect on life and what's important. And what's important is family.
Amen.
You know,
Right.
your kids,
Amen.
watching your
So-
kids grow, you know, building a future for them through different businesses and things like that. So right now, that's kind of like my main focus. You know, I think that what everybody should know is that nothing is impossible.
For real.
Nothing is impossible.
For real.
And I'm gonna put it in the simplest terms. Like, this is gonna sound kind of stupid, but this week I bought a new dishwasher, a new stove, and a new microwave. Now, I don't know shit about plumbing, and a new faucet. I installed everything. I did everything. I fucking disconnected the dishwasher that was hardwired, you know, and I plugged in the new one. I ran the plumbing for the new one. I had installed my the garbage disposal thing that you got on your sink. I did that myself. So the point is like, there's so much information out there that if you want to accomplish something, fucking go on YouTube. And there's gonna be somebody that's gonna give you some information. There's gonna be another person that's gonna fill in the blanks for the last person. And before you know it, you're gonna know what you're
You know,
talking
it's
about.
true. When my daughter, she's 13, she like, Dad, how do I do this? I'm like, did you check how to do it yourself before you come to me? Because I'm there to teach her the stuff that can't be taught, right? But everything that can be taught, I feel like she can learn from the Googles and YouTube. Because we didn't have that, and
So,
if we did, who knows? But
my point is
yeah.
that the same thing could be applied to anything you want to do in life.
yeah,
Like he said, you want to get into the cannabis industry, educate yourself. Learn about
on
the different
YouTube.
things.
It's Go
Go
on
on
YouTube
you know,
and watch everything you.
You
need
want to
learn.
become a
It's a lot
banker?
of-
Educate yourself.
Yeah,
it's
never
got-
lie.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to be a music producer? Learn the basics
yeah.
and start doing your own thing and see what that gets you.
You know what's good about that too? Because watching that shit, you'll learn what you like and what you don't like. So you'll be like, man, I don't want to do that shit, but you'll find out like this intrigues me, and you'll start searching that way more, or you know what I mean? So it's a great way to kind of find out what you really want to get into before you get all the way into it. You'll be like, man, looks like it's a little bit more work than I thought. Damn, the cost on these are, that's what you have to do? Well, this part of it is kind of cool. Well, let me kind of investigate. You know, it might be a whole different avenue you didn't even, you know, like you said he looked in and he said, damn, well, the electrical part of the dishwasher shit is cool, but the fucking pipes, man, that's a beast. You know what I mean? You probably got
but
save that for the
that's
plumber.
what
Exactly.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. But the
Yeah.
point is that anything is possible, bro. Everything and anything. Look what he did.
Well, wait,
Listen, he bought it.
Don't take
he
away
bought-
my. Don't take
no.
away my segue out of this. Point is, let me stick on you, Richie. All right, so just for Richie, I want to finish off with Richie real quick. So Richie, you know, I met him in high school. Like I said, he was a pretty boy. You know, and I didn't know. And that's my bad for like putting any type of
I'm
like.
still a pretty
yeah,
boy,
yeah,
bro.
yeah. You're still a pretty boy. But yo, but this guy was like when he was the guy that walked in the hallways and everybody like, yo, Richie, and I, you know,
Still a
all the.
pretty
So, but the
boy.
point is
That's
that
what I'm talking
you know,
about.
at the same time, he's working on his music, right? And then he went and he created Light and Grammy, and what. That's impressive, but for me, what's more impressive is the fact that he took a lot of the winnings and everything he's done, and invested that into a club, and that club was successful, and he took that and turned it into an even bigger club. And now the guy, you know, he has a lot of, you know, real estate. He owns a club, and now he's investing into other ventures as well. So for me, that's the dope part about it. It's the growth. And then to segue to out, you know what I mean? This guy started with a food truck. He had a successful magazine, and then he has a podcast. And when I looked at podcasts, the only podcast I could see that was as cool as his is like something out of like New York, Noriega, you know, Drink Champs. That's the closest thing I could ever see at the Breakfast Club. But that's like an interview, you know, that's a radio show. But when I see his podcast, I'm extremely impressed and a little jealous that I haven't got there yet. I'm working on it, but still, I love the growth that you've been able to accomplish, because not only as well you're investing in different areas, but what you're doing, you're successful at, right? And then, as you can tell, he's well versed in certain areas, and he wants to continue to do more. So for me, how do you want to be left, and how does your message has to be left to others?
Oh man,
Because you're another example of you can do anything you put. You know, if you work hard, you can make it happen.
work hard, man, and then like dedicate yourself to whatever it is that you're gonna do and know your shit. You know,
Just know it.
just study, man. Just like know your shit. Don't take time off, man. Don't waste time. You know, don't waste time. Time is so valuable. So like, if you're really gonna do something, do it. You know,
Right.
if not, then move on to the next one.
Right.
Don't lie to yourself. Like, you know, sometimes, you know, like, you like, man, I'm gonna clean this closet. I'm gonna clean, and you bullshit, and you playing yourself. If you ain't gonna clean your closet, stop lying to
If you
yourself.
really wanted to clean the closet, you would have cleaned
You
it.
feel like, yo, you better off saying,
Yeah.
yo, baby, you
Yeah.
want to clean.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
better off doing that
Yeah.
and going doing something else so you can keep moving. But don't lie to yourself. Like
Right.
that's the just. So if you want to do something, if you want to be in the cannabis industry, man, go on YouTube today and start Googling. That's all I can say.
And research everything.
And research and shit.
I think that one of the mans that I really look up to and I respect said the most perfect thing ever. He said the genius thing that we did was that we didn't give up, and that was said by JC. Don't give up. You just gotta keep going, and sometimes that's the key to success. It's not giving up.
And through your trials and tribulations, you're motivating a lot of other people, right? Same thing with you. You're motivating myself and other people as well with what we're trying to accomplish. So,
You gotta think. I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Whether you get there or you don't get there, there's something next.
See,
Whether you
just
get
to
there,
elaborate a little bit on that, because I think I don't know, certain just young, they think that once they see that and it doesn't work out for them, that it's over.
what's over?
Their career, their you know, their project, their life. There's so much that goes into this stuff for them. So if it doesn't go their way, they get easily defunct, and they're like, you know what, I'm all set. I'm gonna just move on. But that's what I'm saying. Like, some people don't understand the power of pushing through and continue to aspire, even though
I think
it may not go your way.
I'm gonna give you an
that's
example.
the problem with kids today. They want everything now, man.
Tell 'em.
Like patience, man. If you ain't got no patience, like and persistence, like it's patience.
It's important, but
Like you might not come up for another 10 years.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a real story. This is one of the coolest stories I think I like, but it was very motivational. Rest in peace to Jonas. Do you remember you know the clothing line LRG?
yep.
The
Lift the
owner-
research group.
Exactly. The owner of LRG, his name is Jonas. He passed away some years back. But he told me, like, he was like, man, Cheddar, like, I went 7 years with no success. Lost money for 7 years with this clothing line. 7 years. LRG failed for 7 years. Like, that's a long... Like, I used to be like, damn, 2 years, that's something. 3 years, you know what I mean? I would definitely move on. But this man went 7 years. You still know who that clothing line is today. And this man has passed away almost... It's been a while now. 5-10 years. It's been some time now. You know?
Yeah.
Man, Jonas been gone for a while, man. Rest in peace. But his dedication and his motivation is still here with us today because of that.
Through all the
You
people
know what I mean?
he touched
Yeah.
and all
So
the people, the
like,
legacy,
Don't give
right?
So don't, you know. And the one thing I will say about business, the most important. This is one thing I say about business, and this is how you know if you're in the right thing. In business, there's some days when there's no money. So if your passion doesn't pick you up to do that shit when there's no money, then move on. Because in some stuff, there's just no money some days. So what the success is can I do this when there's nothing? And then when there's something, you will reap the rewards. But if you can't do it when there's nothing, then move
Sounds
on.
like real love,
Because
right?
it's
To
gonna be-
emphasize on what he's saying, I think that, you know, if you're going into business, you gotta love what you do
Absolutely.
Exactly.
because it's not working.
Absolutely.
Bro, I fucking love what I do.
I
I love going to the
Who the
club.
hell wouldn't love what you do? You
No,
ghost.
there's
You
people
like
that don't.
ghost and power. You
No,
know-
look, I love going to the studio. I love
Yeah.
working, staying fucking till 7 o'clock in the morning. Like, even now, today, I fucking, you know, I go to the studio and I work and I stay there till 7, 8 o'clock in the morning and I get home. I moved my studio to Miami about a year ago.
I
And
remember
right now, I have one of the hottest studios in Miami, bro. And that shit is
See,
lit.
so
I'm going to Miami
so 15 years later, when I say, shout out went to Miami. Where's it at?
To Miami,
Yeah.
I moved my studio to Miami
Yeah.
because I was like, I had like $300,000-$400,000 like worth of equipment
Yeah.
sitting in my pool house.
Yeah.
And I was like, this ain't doing nothing here. Let me move
I
this
remember
shit
when
to
you told me
Miami.
you were gonna do that.
How's
Yeah.
it doing out there?
Great. You know, I went over. You know what's funny, dude? I went down to Miami. I brought the studio down and I left it there. I did it with Nacho.
Yeah.
Nacho is like my boy. He's an artist. He's one of the guys I won the Grammy with.
Yep.
And you know, I left. I just I plugged everything in and I fucking left. I came back like 3 or 4 months later. I did a few things left. I came back like 3 or 4 months later again, and in 1 week that I was there for like 1 or 2 weeks. I worked with the fucking top artists right now, the top artists, the top songwriters, the top producers. They were all in the studio fucking making music, and it worked out.
And you're not even there.
And I'm not even there.
You're not even there. That was like money while you sleep. So
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. So for me, I want to thank you guys for coming on. I want to thank Mike, Juan, Freddie, everybody in the studio, Helio, Brian, and Lewis. I want to thank you guys for coming out. But for me, this whole thing was all about trying to get other people to understand that it is possible, right? Through whatever lane you decide, there's some information that was given to the lane that you want to get into, and understanding what it takes to be successful. And for me, I appreciate it because I feel like there's so many young minds out there that that don't see enough success in front of them. And I'm here to tell you, there's success in front of us.
This has definitely been an honor, honestly.
Word.
Watching you guys
Word.
talk about everything, all the information.
There's so much
y'all can
experience.
share has been an honor.
And it's not even like you guys are like really. You guys are young, and there's so much more to do. So for me, it's been a privilege to watch you guys, and more importantly, I can't wait to see you guys in the next 10, 15 years.
If a
Facts.
poor black kid can make it, and an immigrant kid from Dominican Republic can make it,
Yes.
anyone could.
Word. There's no excuses.
No excuses. His story is crazy. My story, like this man said, he wasn't even fucking supposed to be here. Like, yo, if you can't, if this not inspiring, like I want to do your song, but I can't come to you, motherfucker. He knew. Like, let me tell you what's inspiring about Rich was what he learned early.
Yeah.
Was one thing he learned, and he knows when you got that fire, motherfucker's gonna come to you.
That's true.
Man,
When you got that fire, they coming to you. And he had motherfucker came from Venezuela to this being.
That's facts.
That just salute to Boston. You bring a motherfucker from Venezuela. The nigga be like, yo, I brought some bitches from out of town. Woo, 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 woo.
National.
Nigga, I brought some hoes from Venezuela. It's a whole music team. That's some cold shit, man. Cold shit, yeah.
He's global, man.
He's global, so there. That's a cold move. Yeah, so he knew he had power. You know, and now he'll bring you to Randolph to party with him.
I'll
All over the country, right?
go see
So
him.
that,
Let's go right now.
Let's go to Randolph. Let's go to party. Let's go party. Come on.
Now, let's
Give me
go
lead.
now.
Yeah.
Nah. All bullshit aside, this is all stop, right? I appreciate y'all coming out. No bullshit, because I know how hard it is. This is y'all Sunday, so I appreciate y'all coming out. No bullshit.
Yo, my wife spits at you, bro, but you can deal with that later.
Yo, till I apologize.
Sundays is family day.
Yo,
My
I was
God.
like, yo, I can't. I was like, she was like, why don't you just cancel? I was like, I can't. That's my boy.
I appreciate it.
I was redoing.
No,
I was in the
appreciate
middle of
it.
rehab
No
today. I
bullshit.
still got paint on my
Till I
hands.
appreciate it.
Mine too.
Hopefully she likes it and she understands what this is
I was
about.
working
man.
hard
It's not for us,
today,
for
too.
everybody else. It's not from us. Like you said, I don't get paid for shit. You don't get.
Oh,
but
what's
this,
it
we're just doing. Yeah, but this not. But this shit don't get really paid for. This is just doing it because I love to be able to support and give out. Same thing. This is just important for people
Like
to see.
two completely different backgrounds, but growing up in the same streets.
Yeah, why can't we
You know
have
what
this
I mean?
stuff?
And like kind of probably like just facing the
You
same.
say